Balloonerism is the 7th album by Mac Miller. It is also his 2nd release after his death in 2018. Circles was the first one we got in 2020. It was marketed as his final album. That was how they were promoting it, and I was very pleased with that. I thought it was a really good album. I was fine with that being the end of his discography. And so all that to say, I was not too pleased about this coming out. I felt that things were ended on a good note. I didn't want them to be milking it and keep coming out with stuff just to make money, because essentially that is why a lot of those releases happen. Come on, it's not artistic intent or anything like that. Like, let's be real here. The music industry is a business and they want to make money. But I had also heard that his family felt strongly about this, his estates. They wanted to put this out. They thought that there was value in the Balloonerism project. Mac himself had been trying to get it out for a while, all the way up until his death. And so keeping those two things in mind, I was like, okay, fine, I can see some justification in this coming out. I'm not upset to hear any new Mac Miller music. I'm a fan of his music, so okay, let me get my head out of my ass a little bit. It's fine, it's not a big deal. Let's hear a new Mac project, why not? I've heard this album was recorded around the same time as Faces, like 2014-ish. Faces is one of my favorite projects by him. I like that era of his music. It's a little more experimental, a little more psychedelic. Not really like his later stuff, not to say that it got worse or it got less interesting, but his music, I feel, did get a little bit cleaner and more polished as it went on. Again, not that that's a bad thing, but you know, you're certainly not going to hear a track like Tomorrow We'll Never Know on Swimming. So I will say that for people that haven't listened to this yet, it's been out for a while now. I'm sorry, I'm just now getting to this, but for those who haven't given it a listen, maybe are hesitant to listen to it, this is not the typical Mac Miller foray. If you're like keeping his most newest albums in mind, his last few, it's a little more experimental, a little more outside of the box, so just keep that in mind. And I liked that it did go in a psychedelic-ish direction. I did like a lot of the production and a lot of the different sounds that were experimented with on this album. I liked it until I didn't like it. Admittedly, at times it did get a little bit old and feel like it's sort of a tired formula at certain points, particularly as we are approaching the midway point. Tracks like Stone, Shangri-La, I kind of get a little bit tired of the psychedelic shtick that's happening here, the different kinds of vocal effects and distorted sounds. It's like, okay, I get it. I get what they're going for. It's a little starting to feel old at this point. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the album can feel a little bit derivative of itself as times, especially the longer that it goes on. It's not too long of an album. I was fine with the length of it. There wasn't as much as that jazz and neo-soul inspiration in the production that I had liked so much on previous Mac releases, but you do get some of it here. It's not just a psychedelic fest. You do get some of those types of songs, especially with Funny Papers, which is one of my favorites on the album, easily a standout from it, and it's actually one of the more popular songs right now, which makes me happy. It's a great song. It's a sad one, but it's very good, very well done. And the album actually ends on a very strong note. The last few tracks from Mannequin through Tomorrow We'll Never Know, I think, ended very strongly. Rick's piano is the one that comes in between there. Also another standout for me. Also a sad song, but also that's fine because I still liked it. And Tomorrow We'll Never Know is a very interesting song to close things out. A nearly 12-minute song. How slow it is, the way that the pace of the song just trudges along, those distant guitar chords echoey in the background. I feel like Mac's vocals really shine here too. They really do a lot for the song, the way that he sings these lyrics. It's a very cool song, another standout from the album, and I think one of his most interesting and certainly one of his most experimental songs of his whole discography. So overall, I was pleased with this album. It's not one of his best releases by any means, but I enjoyed some of the songs on here. If anything, I'm just happy that we have more Mac Miller songs to listen to. From what I've heard, this is not going to be the end of his posthumous releases. I know that there was the collab with Madlib that's supposed to be coming out. He's supposed to be finishing that. But I had heard that going back like a couple years. So
who knows?
Anyways, Balloonerism, I think, is a pretty good album. I'm going to rate it overall a 7 out of 10. A lot of you have probably heard it by now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Sorry for this being shorter than normal. It's a long story, but I had some complications with my camera, with my computer. This is actually my third attempt to review this album. And yeah, a little frustrated, so I kind of just wanted to get a review out and just muster something up out of the circumstances that have been handed to me. Also, my camera is blinking, the battery's about to die, so I just want to end it here. Sorry, I'll get to more detailed reviews in the future, but anyways, see you all later. Peace out.